Hi, my name is Regina Guerrero Perez, also known as Queen Mexa in Instagram. I'm a Mexican painter, artist, drawer, everything. No, I'm kidding. But I was born and raised in Mexico City, and I lived there till I was 15 years old. And then I moved to the US and lived there for almost 10 years. Yeah, nine years, almost 10. And now I'm in the process of coming back to Mexico. I'm really excited about that. I feel like everything from the places I've been to the people I've surrounded myself with have greatly impacted the way that I see and make art, even the way I am as a person. And not only that, I feel like even the internet has had a big influence in the aesthetics that I like and what I'm drawn to. Yeah, I think everything, even subconsciously, has altered or affected me in some sort of way. And now I'm here. I've noticed that throughout my life, I tend to go by phases of themes that I'm touching on or things that I'm interested in at the time. I used to be super obsessed with exploring how religion and family traditions shape people's perceptions of, well, my perceptions of love and hate and fear and forgiveness, and also perceptions of myself and my roles within everything. And of course that was heavily linked with my upbringing in a very Catholic family in Mexico, and it served as an investigation of my own history. But throughout the years, I see, like, as each time passes, I am like going away from that, and now it's so different what I'm interested in and what I make my art about. Right now I'm kind of in this phase, I guess, of exploring this feeling of longing and connection between humans, and I guess painting about complexities of intimacy, vulnerability, power dynamics, even with oneself. And I'm also very, very fascinated and really, I guess, striving towards telling stories with images. So I want my paintings to tell stories, even if it's a moment, a moment captured of, I don't know, two lovers seeing each other in their eyes. I want the viewer to see a story behind that. Yeah, I am attempting to tell a fragment of stories in my paintings, and I also love a small edge and like to add a sprinkle of surrealist, supernatural elements or something that's odd, uneasy within my work. Yeah, I've been having fun lately, I would say. I think my biggest influences for my work is media. In general, I am a big media consumer, from the internet in general to stories, like reading stories, to manga, to comics, movies, anime. Yeah, all of that, I think, not only inspires me and not only do I like it, but it heavily influences my art. And if we're talking about artists, there is this one artist that I completely adore. His name is Apolo Cacho. He's a Mexican painter and comic book artist and drawer. And he's really amazing. I especially love how he can merge his storytelling with his apocalyptic, surreal scenes that are almost like Renaissance-like, but they're also very modern, and talk about topics that are very deeply philosophical and very much about the human experience. I think he's just amazing. I really do aspire to be an artist like him. And my other big influence is a teacher that I had during college. His name is Monsieur Sohor, and he's an amazing artist too. But more than his art, I think what has impacted me is the way he sees art, because I worked for him and I also was his student, and I think he really pushed me to think critically about a lot of things that I never thought about before, or I took for granted, or I just accepted. And because of his class, I think I have the taste in art that I have now, partly because of it. But yeah, right now I'm focusing on my move to Mexico. I am also focusing to really develop my visual language. So right now I'm in the phase of exploring with paint and exploring with, as I said before, telling stories with images. And yeah, I'm just seeing where it takes me, really, and excited for being in a new environment very soon. What is the biggest challenge of being an artist? Well, I think that there's a lot of challenges to being an artist. Like, there is a lot of challenges to being anything in this life. But a really big one that I've had to learn, I think, is understanding that, at least this works for me, but I think that I realized that I had to make art for myself. That it is very easy to get wrapped up in knowing that, your art at some point has to connect with a viewer. And so I started to make art for others without noticing. But that has never actually worked for me, and it's only led me to insecurities. So I think that, I believe, as selfish as this sounds, that I can only be as wild and free and bold and whatever I want to be with my art if I'm not trapped by the idea of what others think or dependent on outside external validation. So I think it is a challenge to remind myself of that every time that I'm making art. But it is a good tool too. And I'll also say that another challenge of being an artist is that the life of an artist is not very stable. It's filled with change, and it is filled with having to be an advocate for yourself and having to be very self-driven and create your own opportunities to make money or to get a voice in the art scene. And so it requires for you to constantly get out of your comfort zone. And yeah, that can be a challenge, but it can also be rewarding. So I also like that a lot. What advice would I give to my younger self? I would tell my younger self to stop being such a perfectionist and just trust myself more. I guess this goes with what I said before, but art has to be for yourself. And I've had throughout these years to learn to accept all of my flaws as a person and as an artist as I am painting, for me to enjoy the process, to not get caught up in the perfectionism of, this is not right, and kind of like destroying it before it comes to a completion state. So I would say to stop being such a perfectionist and trust in yourself, believe in yourself. Have I ever tried unconventional mediums or techniques? Yes, and I actually love it. Right now I'm really in a very 2D painting, drawing phase, but I actually used to do some sculptures And I think that the craziest one that I've made was a 6-foot long rosary or rosario out of piñata beads, like paper mache beads that I created, and I covered them all in latex black paint, so it was so shiny and dark. And I also sculpted a cross that was really, really heavy with clay and wood, and a lot of other materials that I can't remember right now. And I had a lot of fun with it, and definitely I'm thinking of experimenting with more unconventional methods and materials in the future when I have a bigger space to do so, definitely. When I'm making art, I'm usually listening to music or a podcast or a YouTube video to keep my mind going. But I think it is very important for me, if I am making a painting, that I want to be in a specific mood when I'm painting it. Sometimes I make playlists, or there's a song that I come across that I'm like, this captures perfectly what I want in my painting or in my drawing or whatever, so I would just listen to that and repeat while I'm doing it. And it works for me. It really definitely works for me. What is the best reaction someone has had to my artwork? Well, one time this person on Instagram DM'd me, and they sent me a poem they wrote inspired by one of my pieces. And it was such a heartfelt, piercing poem too, that it really surprised me. I loved it. I really loved it, and I was so shook to see that a person has such an intense reaction to my work, and so direct, I guess. I loved it. I will never forget that, definitely. What is one thing that I hope people take away from my artwork? I hope that people can experience something. I hope that people, when they see my work, they feel something, they experience a moment, anything. And I think that when we look at art, those things that are brought up in us, whether it is a feeling or an idea or whatever, it kind of like reminds you of your own humanness in a way. I remember I read a quote like that. I am not saying the quote, I don't remember it, but since I read that quote, I started thinking about that a lot, and I hope that people see my work and feel something. And it is up to them what they feel. I cannot dictate that, but I hope that something is brought up within them. Thank you so much.